I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped through the revolving glass doors of Halston Dynamics. No good story ever starts with a normal morning. Mine certainly didn't. My access card, which had worked flawlessly for the last 6 years, blinked red. Not green. Not try again. Just an unapologetic, hostile red, as if the building itself had decided I no longer belonged. For a moment, I stood there, my reflection stretched across the polished security glass, trying to make sense of it. Maybe the system glitched. Maybe the scanner was down. Maybe I was overthinking it. But then the guard stepped forward. Marcus? HR wants to see you. Right away. My stomach tightened.
No greeting. No explanation. No smile.
Just instructions, cold and immediate. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't a glitch. This was a setup. And somehow I already knew who was behind it. The walk to the 27th floor felt heavier than it ever had. HR was quiet, too quiet. People who normally waved avoided eye contact. And when I stepped inside the conference room, I saw 3 people waiting. Anna from HR, a company lawyer I had only seen twice in my entire career, and a sealed brown envelope sitting neatly in the center of the table, my name printed on it like a gravestone. Marcus, Anna said softly, forcing a professional smile. We're going to make this as smooth as possible. Smooth. Nothing about this felt smooth. We've received a report of misconduct. I almost laughed. Misconduct?
Me?
I had been the senior financial analyst responsible for major audits, projections, and internal reporting. My record was spotless, actually more than spotless. I was the guy the CEO trusted blindly. Or at least, that's what I thought until yesterday. What misconduct? I asked, keeping my voice steady. Anna opened a folder. Unauthorized data access and sharing. My jaw literally tightened. That's not possible. Our system logs show your credentials were used to extract confidential files from the restricted server, the lawyer said, sliding a document toward me. Specifically, files involving executive-level financial discrepancies. There it was. Executive-level discrepancies. The kind that could destroy careers. The kind that could destroy a CEO. The kind I had stumbled upon 3 weeks ago, by accident. But I hadn't downloaded anything. I hadn't shared anything. I hadn't even confronted anyone yet. I wanted proof. I wanted time. I wanted to be sure before I threw a bomb into the boardroom. And now they were firing me because someone beat me to it. They framed me before I could expose them. The CEO signed the termination request. Anna added quietly, almost as if she was ashamed. Of course he did. This wasn't about misconduct. This was about protection. His protection. And I was the casualty. You'll need to hand over your laptop, badge, and company phone, the lawyer continued, without emotion, like reading instructions off a label. I stared at the envelope, my termination papers already prepared. They didn't even pretend this was an investigation. They were done with me the moment I walked in. But here's the thing, when you push someone who knows where all the skeletons are buried, you better hope they don't decide to dig. I stood up calmly, even though every nerve in my body was burning. You're making a mistake, I said quietly. Anna avoided my eyes. The decision is final. The lawyer added, please exit the building without causing disruption. Disruption. If only they knew what was coming. I gathered my things, what little they hadn't confiscated, and walked out. But the moment I reached the elevator, something snapped into place. Not panic. Not fear. Something sharper. Colder. More precise. Because everything they took from me didn't matter. What mattered was what they didn't know. 3 weeks ago, when I discovered the irregular transactions, I ran a trace to figure out where they originated. During my manual confirmation process, I created something small, something unintentional, but something important. A local backup log. A private one. Generated automatically. Hidden by default. Not accessible to anyone except me. A log that recorded the exact files I had viewed during the audit. But more importantly, it captured the metadata. And the metadata contained the CEO's digital signature. The one thing he thought he had perfectly erased. He didn't know that document existed. He didn't know I had it. He didn't know he just pushed the wrong person out the door. I drove home silently, my fingers tapping the steering wheel with a slow, controlled rhythm. Anger wasn't driving me, clarity was. They took my job, my reputation, my name inside the company I helped build. But they forgot something vital. I wasn't the villain they tried to paint. And I wasn't the victim either. I was the witness. The only witness with proof. I reached my apartment, powered on my personal system, and opened my encrypted drive. And there it was, the log file untouched, unedited, and very, very real. I clicked it. One document stood out. One document that tied everything together. The document they fired me for before I could use it. And the moment I saw the CEO's signature timestamp hidden deep within the metadata, I knew exactly what my next move was. They thought firing me was the end. They had no idea it was the beginning. And I wasn't going to expose them through rage. I was going to expose them with precision. The kind of precision that destroys empires. The kind of precision that ends careers. The kind of precision that makes the powerful bleed. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the proof glowing on the screen. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Corporate justice. And I was just getting started. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in weeks. Not anger, clarity. The kind that makes every sound sharper, every thought cleaner, every plan smoother. I made coffee, sat at my desk, and stared at the document again. The CEO's signature. The off-record fund transfers. The misreported earnings. The shell accounts linked to his private consulting firm. All buried so deeply in the system that no normal audit would ever find them. Except I did. A part of me wondered if I should take it to the board right away. But then I remembered something crucial. The board was his shield. They didn't just protect him, they relied on him. They would bury this too, and me along with it. I needed leverage. I needed a strategy. I needed them to turn on him. Not for me, but for themselves. And that required something more powerful than accusations. It required exposure. Not in the press. Not online. But inside their own walls where they couldn't run from it. I opened the blank document and began writing a concise summary of the discrepancies, clean, simple, factual, and attached the metadata log. I didn't add emotion. I didn't add accusations.
I didn't even mention myself.
I simply titled it, Unauthorized Executive-Level Asset Movement, Internal Forensic Trace Report. It looked official because it was. And then I saved it, not as a PDF, not as a draft, but as something far more dangerous inside a corporate ecosystem. A confidential audit folder entry, formatted exactly like the ones I used to file weekly. Now I just needed a way to slip it through the cracks. I couldn't access the corporate network anymore. But the one thing the company never locked was employee group servers, shared drives that synced automatically during system maintenance every Friday at 9 a.m. Today was Friday. It was 8:21. I plugged in an old corporate sync external drive. It blinked. Connected. Loaded. This drive still retained my last corporate sync ID from 2 months ago. If the auto-sync bot still recognized it as linked data, even as a ghost device, it would push the new file into the shared corporate folder during the scheduled update. And once it landed there, every manager, every auditor, every board assistant, anyone with access to that folder would see it. I held my breath because this wasn't guaranteed. 8:28. The drive hummed softly, like it was waking from a long sleep. 8:31. It flashed green once. 8:34. Then the sync confirm light blinked twice and went still. That was it.
It was in.
The moment the company's servers ran their daily update, the document would slip into the system unnoticed until someone opened that folder and found the bomb waiting there. Now all I had to do was wait. But waiting wasn't in my nature. Not when the CEO had already made his move and destroyed everything I had built. I couldn't just sit. Not now. So I drove. Not anywhere specific. Just far enough to think clearly. I ended up in a quiet parking lot near the river. I sat on a bench watching people walk past, families, couples, joggers. None of them aware that someone across from them was about to bring down a corporate empire. At 9:07 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. But I recognized the tone immediately. Did you upload something to the shared audit folder?
Elle.
Lily. The only person in that company who ever saw me as more than a number. We had worked side by side for 3 years. She wasn't just smart, she was observant. And if she was messaging me, that meant one thing. The file had been found. How long ago? I typed back. About 5 minutes. It was sitting open when I accessed the folder. People are whispering already. My pulse steadied. Not quickened, steadied. This was working. What does it look like? I asked. Like a mandatory audit summary. Very official. Marcus, the metadata in it, is it real? Yes. There was a pause. Longer than I expected. Then she wrote, "You need to come here.
Today.
Before this blows up without you controlling it." I stared at the screen. Walking into the building where I was just fired wasn't a great idea. But Lily wasn't dramatic. She was calculated. If she said to come, it meant things were unraveling faster than I thought. So I drove straight to Halston Dynamics. This time, the security guard didn't stop me. He just stared at me with wide eyes like he wasn't sure whether to salute me or run. The elevator ride felt different, heavier, electric. Employees whispered as I passed. Some looked shocked. Some looked terrified. Some looked impressed. The door to Lily's office was open. She stood inside, typing furiously, her expression razor-sharp. When she saw me, she didn't waste time. "It's chaos," she said. The VP of Finance saw the file. So, did compliance.
And
She lowered her voice. "Marcus, the CEO, is in panic mode." "Good."
he should be.
She turned her monitor toward me. Emails were flooding in, threads titled urgent, immediate review required, discrepancy inquiry, and financial irregularities, explain immediately. "All of this started within 10 minutes of your file syncing," she said. "Your timing was brutal." "It wasn't meant to be brutal," I replied. "Just undeniable." Lily exhaled slowly. "Well, it's undeniable. Everyone wants answers. And the CEO is already blaming the finance systems team." Of course he was. He always blamed the weakest link first. But this time, he didn't know where the leak was coming from. He didn't know who had slipped the file in. And now he was scrambling.
Badly.
Suddenly, Lily's eyes widened. "Oh God. Marcus, look." She clicked open a new email that had just arrived. It was from the board chair himself. Subject: Immediate emergency meeting. Today at 1 p.m. All executives present.
No exceptions.
The CEO was being cornered. In broad daylight. By his own superiors. And the best part?
They still didn't know who set this in motion.
Lily's voice softened. "You started something big." "I didn't start it," I said quietly.
He did.
"I'm just finishing it." But I didn't know then, didn't realize until later, that the most dangerous part wasn't exposing him. It was what he was going to do next when he realized I was the one who ended his empire. I didn't plan on going anywhere near that emergency board meeting. My job was already done. The file was in the system. The damage had begun. The CEO was cornered. But fate has a way of dragging you into the very rooms you try to avoid. At 12:18 p.m., as I stood outside the building debating whether to leave or to stay close just in case Lily needed me, my phone rang. Blocked number. I let it ring out. A minute later, it rang again. Same blocked number. This time, I picked up. Before I could speak, a voice cut through, sharp, urgent, angry. "Marcus, you need to come upstairs."
Now.
The CEO.
His voice.
I hadn't heard it since the day he pretended he didn't know me while signing the papers to fire me. Hearing it again made my jaw clench. "How did you get my number?" I asked flatly. "I don't have time for games," he snapped. "We need to talk. Privately. Anything you have to say, you can say to the board," I replied. There was a silence, a dangerous, simmering silence. Then he said, "If you don't come up here, I will personally make sure you never work in this industry again." I actually laughed. A low, genuine laugh. "You already tried that," I said, and hung up. I should have walked away. I should have driven home. I should have celebrated. But something inside me, something sharper, told me to stay. The way he said privately wasn't a conversation. It was a threat. And the fact that he was calling me meant one thing. He knew. He finally knew I was the one who exposed him. I went back inside the building. Not because he asked, but because I wanted to see his face when everything he built collapsed around him. When I stepped into the lobby, Lily was already there, breathless. Marcus. Thank God. We need to move, now. What happened? Security is looking for you. The CEO told them you're impersonating a former employee to gain access to confidential information. They're trying to get you removed before the meeting starts. Impersonating? He was trying to erase me before I could open my mouth. I exhaled slowly. He's panicking. She nodded.
He is.
But the board is already suspicious. They want to know how internal files containing restricted metadata were uploaded without authorization. They think someone above finance is involved. So they're circling him. They're circling everyone, Marcus. And they want you present. That stopped me. Me? Lily nodded. The board chair specifically asked for the analyst whose audit logs triggered the investigation. They don't know your name, but they know someone created that trace. They want clarity. And clarity was the one thing I could give. We took the elevator to the executive floor. 2 security guards were posted outside, scanning badges. One looked at me. Recognition flashed. He stepped forward. That's him. But Lily moved faster. She shoved a folder into the guard's chest. He's with me. Compliance request. He's needed inside now. Direct order from board chair Hendricks. The guard froze. No one ignored an order from Hendricks. He stepped back. Go. We walked down the hall lined with glass walls and million-dollar paintings, symbols of power that suddenly felt hollow. The boardroom doors were open. Dozens of eyes turned as we entered. The room was sharp and cold, mahogany table, leather chairs, screens glowing with financial charts. At the head of the table stood the CEO, red-eyed,
Sweating.
jaw tight enough to crack his teeth. And when he saw me, his expression twisted into something ugly. What is he doing here? He barked. The board chair, a gray-haired man with clear, steady eyes, turned toward me. You are the analyst who produced the metadata trace, correct? Yes, I said calmly. The CEO slammed his fist on the table. He is a disgruntled ex-employee, fired for misconduct. He is trying to destroy us. I stepped forward. If I wanted to destroy the company, I wouldn't have put the document in the internal system. I would have leaked it externally. A few executives shifted uncomfortably. The board chair gestured to the screen. Explain this, Marcus. The screen lit up with the same file I had planted. The room fell silent. I walked them through everything. The mismatched transaction IDs, the off-ledger accounts, the duplicate expense filings, the time-stamped approvals. And then I showed them the one thing the CEO never expected anyone to find. His digital signature metadata embedded deep in the file architecture. A signature that proved intent. A signature that proved fraud. A signature he had tried to erase. When I finished, I stepped back. The room was frozen. Executives stared at the screen like it was a loaded gun. Then the CFO spoke, voice shaking. This can't be real. It's real, I said quietly. And he fired me so I couldn't reveal it. All eyes turned to the CEO. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, desperate for any defense. This is an attack, he said weakly. Fabricated. He must have hacked the logs. Enough, the board chair said. His voice cut through the room like steel. Your signature is here. So are your authorization codes. So are the accounts tied to your private corporation. The CEO's face went pale. Please, he whispered. You don't understand.
No, Hendricks interrupted. You don't understand.
You abused this company's trust. You used your position to siphon over $3 million in disguised transactions. And you tried to scapegoat the one analyst who uncovered your mistakes. Silence. Deadly, heavy silence. Then the chair looked at security. Remove him. The CEO's eyes widened. No, wait. You can't. I built this company. I saved this company. But security grabbed him, dragged him toward the door. He fought like a man drowning, clawing at the table, screaming. And then he made one last mistake.
He pointed at me.
This is your fault. All of it. I met his eyes calmly. No, I said. This was your doing. I only revealed the truth. The doors slammed shut behind him. His screams faded, and the room exhaled. The board chair turned to me. Marcus, we owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything, I said. Just fix what he broke.
We will, he promised.
He hesitated, then added, would you consider returning? In a leadership role? I smiled faintly. Not bitter. Not vengeful.
Just done.
No, I said. I didn't do this for my job. I did it because it was right. Lily smiled at me from across the room.
Proud.
Relieved. I walked out of that building free, not fired, not broken, not defeated, just done with all of it. And as I stepped outside into the cold afternoon air, one thought settled over me like the final line of a story. Revenge isn't about hurting someone back. It's about making sure the truth finally speaks louder than their lies. And in the end, the truth ended them all. If you loved this thrilling journey of betrayal and revenge, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to future Fate Revenge for more mind-blowing stories.